Alright. Welcome to another video. In this one, we are gonna have a look at IB Prime. It's time for Season 4, as all of you probably know, and you've probably all been playing the pre-league stage. And now we've got the first round done for the playoffs. And today we're gonna have a look at some of the builds that have that I've seen being used to greater effect. There's been a lot of crappy builds, but these are some of the better builds. We're gonna go over them slowly in this video and see what we can sort of further expand on. I've observed multiple setups working well enough, some of them better than others, but certainly viable stuff to build from. I've seen water setups, I've seen some water Charles, some straight water, Dido Merlin stuff, seen some fire setups. Cyrus Seon is actually doing quite well. Some Wu Khan, classic playoff pre-league stage stuff, as well as some Earth teams doing pretty well. So in this guide, we'll have a look at sort of these three elements: water, fire, and earth. Look at the performance for the first round, but more so sort of presenting to players who may be lost as to what to build for Sunday. Use this as sort of a guide for a baseline. Like, this is by no means finished marches. There will always be development, and we are literally just done with the very first round of this season. We have a long way to go before we see sort of the finished builds. I know I'm testing a lot of stuff, refining some stuff, and I know most other players are as well. So these will evolve, and if you do not sort of build upon this, it's eventually gonna be outperformed by something else. But that being said, this is a very good place to start. This is something that at least has been working at some point and is working decently now, it's working fine now. So it's a good place to start, and it's a good place to take some inspiration from and see what can I build into running on Sunday. Before we head on into the builds themselves, or the elemental setups, I just want to mention the Huawei campaign. We got the Spend and Earn campaign. It's back. It's great. It's awesome. It's the anniversary edition now, but it doesn't really change anything because it's still as good as it ever was. You spend $1, you get a flower. You use all your flowers for coupons, and you get up to 20% back on your purchases. It really does save quite a lot in the long run. So as a low spender, mid spender, big spender, whatever, get 20% more value. That's brilliant. That's awesome. You always want to spend as efficiently as you possibly can. We want to get as much out of every single dollar we spend as we can. So you've got to do that with AppGallery's Huawei AppGallery campaigns. All you need to do is download the game from the AppGallery app. Check the description in this video on how to download the AppGallery app. Join their Discord server. Links are down there. The guides and people around who are more than willing to help you out setting up, the AppGallery app and Infinity Kingdom on there. Getting access to the campaign, etc. But all the links are down below. Pretty straightforward. So, getting into it. The first thing is the water element. So using, Merlin, Dido, Attila, and either Ragnar or Charles seems to be a pretty popular trend and seems to be doing quite well. The team composition, of course, this is water, so we rely on a mixture of control, survivability, and Merlin nuke damage. So what we want is, we got a water dragon. It's freezing. If we get lucky on freezes, we can do some really, really insane things. And even without luck, it does perform very well. Getting the control in there is very powerful, and you combine that with Attila's control, as well as the added control effects that we have from the new Tower of Knowledge skills. Running something like No Escape in combination with these things really begins to stack up quite a lot of control. Likewise, Weakening Curse is something that you may want to opt into. In this profile version, it's not used, and you don't have to, but it's the kind of thing you can think about. If built more defensively, you can choose to run a Charles in there. A defensive strategy takes advantage of Charles shields in combination with the Water Dragon heal. This was not extremely good in the past, but since not a lot of players are running Khan wounds, you can get quite a lot of healing out of your Water Dragon, and that in combination with Charles can give you pretty good survivability. And even against wound setup, as you see here, this was a very, very good lightning setup actually. Something that might be in another video. But the water absolutely melted it. Because we can do some pretty crazy things with our sustain and our water. This is not a Charles build, of course. Had this build been a Charles build, I think the Lightning would have won. And that's my point. You can build it defensively, leaning into taking advantage of the healing and the shielding, or you can lean into more of an offensive style, where you take advantage of Ragnar and Ragnar's debuff, which just pumps up Merlin's damage in debuff windows to absolute crazy heights. I mean, take a look at this Merlin. Prophecy is just absolutely demolishing the entire enemy team. Very cool stuff, and something that works quite well, it seems. For fire, there's a couple different things. It was the undisputed champion of the pre-league stage of the IB Prime League, but it falls somewhat short in this playoff stage. Despite this, I've observed strong fire teams, successfully running different versions of fire, different versions of backliners, really, because you have both Cyrus, Seon, you have Wu, and you have Khan being swapped around in there, and there are different kinds of builds that are all viable and works with these things. Overall, I think fire performs decently. It performs well enough, but not well enough for me to run it as a main. I think that's an important distinction. You can choose to, and you can develop on this, because I mean, you could possibly change up a few things and make this the best main team ever. But at least from my experience, running it as a second team makes a lot of sense, because most of the tower knowledge skills that you need to make this kind of stuff work is not necessarily the same things that you need for your main, if you're running something like, let's say, the water we saw before. Anyway, we as a fire team, we're of course running high damage output. We're doing bursts. So, fire will always depend on delivering high amounts of damage in a very, very short time. Achieving high crit rates is crucial, and having reliable control of the enemy's energy region is also a very, very good thing, because we are playing sort of the energy region game, since we need to kill our enemy before we take too much damage. We got no access to sustain here with fire, so you need to just pump out damage and destroy the enemy before they get too many ultimates off. That's why energy region control is very, very good for fire teams. So the first one is a Cyrus Seon build. I really, really quite like this one. Supposedly fire is countered by water. This is actually a very good. It was a bit of a lucky fight, I must admit, but it is actually the water team from before, very close. I think there was one skill different. So a very good water setup that I was fighting here, and Cyrus Seon absolutely demolished it, because we got good Seon crits, and that's the thing. You can do this as a second team. It's very, very, very powerful. Anyway, it's modeled on some of the findings from the Open Arena Season 1. I think that's when most people sort of got their eyes up for Cyrus Seon and how powerful that is, and a lot of people have been developing on that and using it in the IB Prime League. Yeah, it works very well, and I can recommend this especially as a secondary. As you can see here, this is against the water team that I had before, and I just got a massive amount of Seon Ultimate procs. We got, every time we crit, we get a Seon Ultimate, right? And while we had the dot up, or the debuff activated, we made quite a lot of crits. So in 17 seconds, we did 16 instances of her ultimate ability. 16 instances of damage. That's very impressive, and as you can see, a lot of damage in a very short time. Very cool from a secondary march. The Khan factor is just something I need to sort of mention real quick. I don't really want to go into it because I don't think Khan Fire has a place in the playoff stage, but some people still swear by it. And I mean, you can try and run something like this. Some people say it works really well. I'm not really inclined to believe it, but I mean, if you want to give it a go, if you really like the Fire Khan from the pre-league stage, go nuts. The last elemental for today is the Earth elemental and Earth builds. Earth as an element overall was very bad. It underperformed quite hard in the pre-league stage, but it does gain some traction here in the playoff stage thanks to all of the awesome Tower of Knowledge skills that focus on survivability and control. Earth as a team excel in damage mitigation, shielding, healing, allowing you to sustain yourself and stay resilient in a long battle. You need to you can stay ahead in troop counts from defense instead of offense, and you can not really do that in the pre-league stage. But with these Tower of Knowledge skills that we have available here in the playoff stage, that kind of changes. Also, just want to mention that Cleo's ult is actually quite powerful for this game mode, because most everyone is trying to run magical damage for offense, and that's just a pretty nice added defensive capability for you. If you are not against a magic enemy, just tossing Khan there. Earth Khan works brilliantly. Earth Khan has been used, of course, for a very long time, and I mean, it's just great. He has a natural sort of synergy with Earth, applying wounds and just doing big backline bursts. It's great and it works very well. This is sort of the best Earth build that I've been able to collect. I think this is very viable. Is it the best build in the game? I have no idea, but it is definitely gonna work quite well. I've seen some reports from some players running this. I was not allowed to share them, so I mean, it is what it is. But I'm sharing the setup anyway. Because it is a very nice build that does work quite nicely. Of course, this is also something you can develop upon further. Maybe you can take it to the next level, but as is, it works quite well as the Alex Cleo. You deal a lot of AoE magical damage, and then you have your Alex to kill single targets. And with Spear and Pale, you kill them in a line, so you can choose which backliner you want to kill first. Pretty cool. Of course, you can switch into Khan, as I said, for instead of Cleo. If you want to have that edge, you need to do that if your enemy is also running this setup. Earth v Earth is ridiculously... It's such a silly matchup, but anyone running a Khan will most likely win. Again, survivability is key. You need survivability in Earth, and you get plenty of it with Xeno. Got Purify, you got Berserk there, you got Energy Shield, No Escape, Malice. We can stay alive for quite a bit. Very good. And another build that I do recommend you try out and develop further on. So that is actually all the stuff that I had. A couple different sub builds and some elemental overview for 3 elements that I've seen performing well. Remember that these builds are a snapshot of what was currently running in round 1 and what worked in round 1. It is not necessarily going to be the same things that work out in round 2, because well, we are all learning and improving. So I mean, take this, try and adapt it, try and make it better, and stay ahead of the curve. Happy battling, best of luck on Sunday. reach out to me if you have, your meta build, or if you tried one of these and tweaked it somehow, and it either works really great or doesn't work at all. Hit me up. I'd love to chat about IB builds. I am Myrek, server 105. You can find me there. You can find me on Discord. You can find me on the IK Wiki website. You can find me here on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. I consistently release new content here on the IK channel and on the official IK Wiki website. Links are in the description. On these channels you can find guides from everything in IK, from events to talents, passives, finished builds, and game mechanics. With that, I'm gonna leave you, and as always, thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.